Welcome to Ground Zero Atelos. This is Deep Dives. Your subscription means you care about your mental health.
Welcome to our deep dive. Today we're tackling something that feels incredibly personal, maybe even a bit overwhelming sometimes. That profound pain of being ignored, especially, when it's by someone you really care about. You might even tell yourself it's just, I'm being too sensitive. But our goal today is really to show you why that feeling is legitimate. It's an intense human reaction.
Yeah.
And its roots go way deeper than you might think. We're going to unpack why that phrase, a broken heart, isn't just, a metaphor.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating now is that modern psychology actually has a term for this. They call it social pain.
Yeah.
And it's not just like an emotional idea.
Right.
It's a real measurable thing happening in your brain. It taps into the very same networks that process physical pain. It sets off these ancient, survival alarms.
Wow.
And it can seriously shake your sense of who you are. So yeah, we'll dig into the neuroscience, the evolution behind our need to connect, and how our earliest relationships kind of tune our reactions to this.
Okay, let's get into that neuroscience then. Because when we say things like crushing rejection or, my feelings are hurt, you're saying that's actually a pretty accurate description of what's happening inside.
That's spot on. Groundbreaking research, especially using fMRI brain scans, shows that when you experience social rejection like being ignored, your brain activates specific regions.
Which ones?
Areas like the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, the DACC, and the anterior insula, or AI. Now, these aren't just random spots. They are central to the brain's pain matrix.
The pain matrix, like actual pain.
Well, specifically the distressing quality of pain, that awful feeling that comes with it. Your brain is basically sounding an internal alarm bell. It hurts.
Okay, now this is where I found it gets really wild. There was this study, right, on romantic breakups.
A landmark one.
And it showed that intense rejection doesn't just hit those emotional pain spots, but it also lights up areas like the secondary somatosensory cortex and the dorsal posterior insula.
That's right. S2 and DPIS.
And those are areas more involved in, locating physical injury. So the brain is processing this not just as emotional upset, but almost like a genuine physical wound.
Precisely. It's registering not just the ouch, this feels bad emotionally,
Yeah.
but also a component similar to ouch, where does this physically hurt? It adds this whole other layer to the experience.
Which might explain why it can feel so persistent.
Yeah, exactly. And that leads into why social pain often lingers so much longer than, say, a stubbed toe. Physical pain tends to fade, right? But social pain, you can relive it vividly. Often this involves another brain area, the dorsomedial prefrontal cortex, or DMPFC. This part is involved in self-reflection, trying to understand things.
Like trying to figure out why they ignored you.
Exactly. And when that part of your brain gets tightly linked or coupled with the emotional pain system, well, every time you start ruminating, asking why or what did I do wrong, you're basically reactivating the pain circuits.
Oh, man. So you get stuck in this loop where trying to understand it actually makes it hurt more.
It can become a really torturous feedback loop, yes. Replaying it literally reignites the pain.
Okay, stemming back from the brain scans for a second. Why is this reaction so intense in the first place? You mentioned survival alarms.
Yeah, think about our evolutionary history. For our ancestors, living in small groups, being part of the group wasn't just nice. It was essential for survival.
Right. Safety in numbers, finding food.
All of it. So being excluded, ignored, ostracized, that wasn't just hurtful. It was potentially a death sentence.
Yeah.
A near certain one in many cases.
So being ignored now in our modern world, it's like our brain is still sounding that ancient life or death alarm.
That's a great way to put it. It's triggering our deep-seated threat detection system. Social inclusion meant survival, so exclusion feels like a profound threat, even if, rationally, our life isn't on the line anymore.
But then, why do people react so differently? Some people seem to get really devastated by being ignored, while others maybe shrug it off more easily. Does our personal background play into this?
Oh, absolutely. A huge part. Our personal history, particularly our early relationships with caregivers, shapes what we call our attachment style.
Attachment style, okay.
And you can think of this style as acting like a sort of internal volume control for social pain.
How so?
Well, for example, if someone developed more of an anxious attachment style, maybe due to inconsistent caregiving early on, then a partner's silence, being ignored, it can feel like it confirms their deepest fear, abandonment.
Ah, okay. So it hits that raw nerve extra hard.
Exactly. It can trigger intense anxiety, maybe even what we call protest behaviors.
Yeah.
That almost frantic need to reconnect, to get a response, any response.
Right, the constant texting or calling.
It might feel irrational in the moment, but it stems from that deep fear. Understanding your own attachment history helps you see it not as I'm just broken, but more like, okay, this is a pattern, a response learned from my past.
That makes sense. And then there's the mental side too, right? Like when
Exactly.
you are ignored, your brain just hates not knowing why.
Oh, definitely. Our brains are basically problem-solving machines, and they hate an information vacuum. When someone goes silent, your mind rushes to fill that gap.
Yeah, with thoughts like, what did I do? Are they angry? Did I mess up?
Precisely. It starts spinning, ruminating, often jumping to worst-case scenarios,
Yeah.
catastrophic thinking, and you feel completely powerless because you have no information.
So you've got the deep evolutionary fear, maybe a sensitive attachment style, and your brain is spinning out trying to find answers. Sounds like a recipe for overwhelm.
It is. It's a combined assault, really.
Yeah.
And it can totally overwhelm your brain's capacity for emotional regulation. That's when we see emotional dysregulation, meaning your emotional volume gets stuck on high. Your more primitive fight-or-flight system basically hijacks your rational brain.
Yeah.
That's where those really intense, maybe seemingly uncontrollable emotional shifts come from when you feel rejected or ignored.
So putting this all together, this deep dive really shows that the agony, the real pain of being ignored, it's not weakness, it's not oversensitivity.
Not at all.
It's this incredibly complex, deeply wired human response. Understanding all these layers, the literal pain signals in the brain, the echoes of ancient survival needs, the way our childhood shapes us, that understanding feels like the crucial first step.
Absolutely. And the goal here isn't to somehow become immune to feeling hurt by rejection. That's probably not realistic or even desirable, maybe.
Right.
It's more about developing the internal resources, the resilience, to experience that inevitable pain without letting it completely derail you, without it annihilating your sense of self-worth. Thinking about all this, what really stands out to you? How might just knowing this stuff change how you approach that feeling next time?
For me, it's about recognizing those runaway thoughts, that catastrophic thinking, and maybe being able to gently challenge them, or even just doing something simple like taking a few deep breaths to calm the nervous system down when that alarm goes off.
Simple but powerful tools.
Yeah. Ultimately, knowledge here really is power. Understanding this whole process, I think, empowers you to navigate this really difficult, really human experience with a bit more agency and maybe, hopefully, a lot more self-compassion.